What is up, everybody? This is the Fourth and Forever podcast. I am your host, Josh Kirby, and let's get into it.
That's a W.
So, we're about a couple weeks out from the draft, about what week or so out from the draft. The rookies are getting into camp, getting settled. We got a lot of things going on. Calais Campbell signed with the Ravens for a second stint with us. I'm hyped about that. Huge Calais Campbell fan. We thought he was going to retire 3 years ago, and he's been put on a really good 3 year run. He's 40 years old, so more of a rotational depth player, but someone that can really impact special teams in block punts, block field goals. In general, that's a huge aspect to our special teams that, as you've talked about, I said if our special teams lacks this season, that would be my biggest grief going into the year, knowing we lost a great special teams head coach, and that be the area of concern. But today's podcast is going to be short and sweet. There's not a lot going on, but I wanted to talk about 10 available free agents that have really jumped out to me that I think could really impact teams immediately. I'm going to talk about some stats for these players and maybe where I think these guys could end up. First on the list, I'm going to talk about Taylor Decker. He decided not to re-sign with the Lions, someone that's had a very rough go to start of his career, being drafted in 2016 and not really getting a dominant career going up until the last couple of years starting for the Lions. He's someone that I think will go onto a team and add a rotational depth piece on that offensive line, which I think in this league, having deep offensive lines is so important. We've seen many teams crumble because their lack of offensive line protection for their quarterback. I mean, it was one of the Ravens' biggest issues last year. Why do you think we drafted a guard in the first round? So I think he could be an immediate impact player more so midway through the season. I don't see a lot of teams taking him as their starter, but having him on your depth chart is just going to increase a lot of value to your offensive line. Next, I would probably put on my I guess my so-called top 10 would be Jadeveon Clowney. Someone who had a career resurgence when he signed with the Ravens the last couple of years and now has just been hopping around teams trying to just prolong his career. He's a guy that had his first double digit sack season with us just a few years ago. So he's someone that can have immediate good production in late in his career. Still more of a rotational player. He's someone that like the Giants could add, or maybe like the Raiders, the Saints. These teams that kind of need a better, maybe another one more piece of just depth on their team. A lot of rosters that are a little thinner on the back end, not so much on the front end. I could see him coming back to Dallas, matching up with some of the younger guys there. I could see the Ravens possibly giving him a call, but I doubt it because I think our depth is better than at the pass rush than it's been, especially adding Hendrickson, drafting Zion Young, and we still got Mike Green there that I like. I just hope he gets some more pass rush moves in. There's a few teams that I wouldn't be surprised to add him. I could see the Seahawks bring him back in, as Seahawks lost Mafi, so they really need someone else to come in and probably help with that rotational depth aspect. Next on the list would be probably, I would say, Jermaine Pratt. He's a linebacker. I could see someone like the Bucks bringing him in. I mean, he's 742 career tackles in 112 games played. He plays a lot of games. He has an impact in a lot of games. He's not a high value linebacker, and he's certainly no Levante David. But at the same rate, you bring him in, he could have a really good positive impact on whatever team he goes on. Like I said, any team that really needs one more piece in the linebacking room, he could really add to the depth and even be promoted as a starter for some teams. Like I said, the Bucks are the team that kind of jumps out to me the most, as I really think they need help at linebacker with Levante David retiring. There's a lot of young teams out there that really could use one more piece at linebacker, and I think he has options. I could see the coach re-signing him again. I could see maybe now that the Packers lost Quay Walker, bringing him in. There's options I think for Pratt, but I think he's one of those later, because he's an older player. A lot of these guys are older players. They're going to get signed closer to the beginning of the season, maybe middle of training camp, something like that, just so their wear and tear. They're not putting as much wear and tear on their body. They don't need to go through OTAs and all this stuff. There's a lot of things they don't need to do, as they already understand the process of the NFL. A lot of these young players and more in their prime players are the ones that really have to go through this and get into the routine. But we don't expect a lot from these veterans in the offseason. We expect them to be immediate game starters or impact players once the season starts. Probably next on my list, I would say probably Joel Bitonio, guard for the Browns. He's been a extremely standout guard. They said most likely the Browns are still giving it to the end of March to decide what they're going to do. Both sides seem in a stalemate, but that deal could still get done. If not, the talks are the Lions are looking at him. And Lions still need help on that offensive line, especially with Decker gone. And I think they had another guy retire. They need some help on that offensive line. And when you have a quarterback like Goff who can perform at a high level but needs a strong offensive line in front of him, this is a guy that could come in and have immediate impact on that line. Plus, great in the run game. You have Jahmyr Gibbs and Pacheco, so you're going to have a two-headed running back system still, with Gibbs taking a majority of the carries. You want to have two really good guards and a good offensive line overall to lead that charge for your running backs. So he would be next on my list. Next, I would probably put Hassan Reddick. He's had 10+ sack seasons, but only 3 in the last 2 years. He's a guy that I wouldn't trust as a starter on my team, but he's another guy for depth. You just put him on your team. You can go out there, make some plays. I mean, if you can get 5, 6 sacks out of this guy, it wouldn't be an issue. I think there's a lot of teams that would look to add him late, like I said, going into more of the right before the season starts. I think the Eagles could still bring him back. Even though he didn't work out there, I wouldn't be surprised. They could really use the help there. I could see the Broncos bringing him in, add to the depth there. I could see him going back with the Bucks on a maybe a little better deal than the following years and seeing what he can do there. I think there's a lot of teams that could really use one extra piece, and he could be that one extra piece that you don't particularly need, but it could really expand your defense a little more. I mean, the Dolphins could sign him for cheap. They don't have Bradley Chubb no more, so pair him up with or Chot Robinson. That would be a decent combination there. You're not paying him that much. I'm just saying or even the Patriots. I think the Patriots still need a solidified pass rusher. You bring a guy in the rotational room with Mike Vrabel's coaching. This guy could really have a good impact on this team. Um, Next would probably be, let's say, Joey Bosa. 77 career sacks, 5 sacks last year, and 5 forced fumbles last year. The 5 forced fumbles was jumped out to me because that means impact. That means he has an impact. He had at least 5 solid, impactful plays throughout the season, and he played almost every game. He's a guy that struggled with a lot of injuries in his career, so I don't see him super high on where he's going to go. They said he has not been signed yet, but I would not be surprised if he gets picked up shortly. I could see him. There's talks about him going to the Niners to pair it with his brother, but the truth is Bosa is not going to be cheap. He's going to be one of these more expensive free agents because of the name value itself. But once again, I could see him. I could see him maybe going back to the Chargers. Him going back to the Bills again. The Bills bring him back for another year. I would love for the Ravens to reach out to him. I don't think it's going to happen. I could see the Patriots reaching out to him. Like I said, once again, he's another guy that a team that needs an extra piece, not really a solid piece, could really reach on. He's probably going to sign with a team that feels like a contender. Just at his stage of his career, it'd be better to go to a contender than to just any old team, just so you can kind of have more impact of your overall long-standing career. Next, I'd put on that list is Tyreek Hill. I love Tyreek Hill. The problem is he's coming off a devastating leg injury. He might not be ready until midseason. Who knows? No one really knows what they're going to get out of Tyreek going into next season. He's a guy that when he becomes available, when he starts working, he's going to get picked up somewhere. And once again, this is a guy that I think is going to go to a contender, go to a team with a young quarterback that really need a veteran presence. The Raiders could see him. The Giants, the Chiefs bring him back. Even the Ravens might give him a call. Well, Bengals maybe they could get him for cheap. The Patriots, like I said, these teams that really could use one more piece at wide receiver could bring him in. I mean, his speed may not be what it once was, but his impact as an overall route runner is still going to have a great impact. He could have a very similar impact that Diggs had last year with the Patriots, which I will get to Diggs. Because next on my list will probably be Deebo Samuel. Deebo had 72 receptions last year, 727 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He's a little older player, but he still can fit some gadget roles. He's a guy that had to do more in Washington than we expected, just for the fact of this team was brittled with injuries. And as I said, everyone going into the season, this is a team with a lack of talent across the board. But this is a guy you can plug and play, and he's not going to be a 1,000-yard receiver. He's not going to be probably a 10 touchdown guy. That part of his career might be over, but he's a solid rotational depth piece, and more importantly, he's your number two on a lot of teams, and he's a number three on any team. Which you can bring him in and really create a really good impact. The Saints, like I said, I keep bringing up the Saints because I think they're a team that they like their quarterback. They have two solid receivers. They like their tight end. They like their defense. Don't love it, but they still have a lot of room to improve. Bring in someone like Debo as your third receiver. They can really get some pressure off of Tyler Shuck and Olave, and really break Olave open more. And Jordan Tyson deals with some injuries, so having Debo that could slot into the two if Tyson doesn't pan out as you'd hope, that could be huge for the New Orleans Saints. Next on my list would probably be Jawan Jennings. I like Jawan Jennings for the Niners. He stepped up big when injuries came. 55 receptions, 643 yards, 9 touchdowns, and he averaged 11.7 yards per catch. So he's can get first downs. He can get to the end zone. Good reception. I mean, over 50 receptions. I mean, he is a guy that is a low number two, but probably the best number three in the league. I mean, he's like I said, there's teams that I could see him going to for cheap. The Dolphins, who really need another receiver, they really need another piece in that receiving room, like desperately bad. I mean, you look at like Malik Willis, who is he throwing to? I could see the Raiders giving him a call. They really need some help in the receiving room still. Um, like I said, young. The Bears could give him a cheap deal, put him in with their bunch of receivers. The Browns, I think the Browns, they may not need him, but it wouldn't be a bad move for them. The Steelers could use another guy with DK and Michael Pittman there. Patriots still, I think, I mean, they're probably getting AJ Brown June 1st, but either way, are you really going to complain if you can get Jawan Jennings for cheap as well? The Niners might even reach out and re-sign him. He might go back there. I could see him going to the Rams. He already knows the division. Why not bring him to the Rams? Make him the third receiver there. That would be really helpful for the team. This is a guy that I'm surprised has not been signed yet, but I think there's many teams out there that would love to add him as a third receiver. And if receivers get hurt, he can play a number two, and he can be a one. I don't think he has the number one talent, but if your star receiver misses 3 or 4 games, you can trust Jawan Jennings will step up for those games and make impact plays and have sustainable stats that can carry you until your starter gets back into action. So I love his potential impact on this team. But last but not least, I think the biggest free agent that has not been signed yet that probably jumps off the board for everyone is Stephon Diggs. I know he's dealing with some legal stuff, and once that gets situated, someone was going to sign him. Last year, or let's just talk about him. In his career, he's had 7 1,000 yard receivers, 1,000 yard receiving seasons. So you know that he's going to have an impact. He's had a long career of constant impact, whether it was with the Bills or the Vikings or last year with the Patriots. 17 games, 85 receptions, over 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns. May not be a red zone threat, but he's never been a huge red zone threat. He's been a great possession receiver, a great route runner, and he did not miss a game last year, especially after in Houston where he went down after 8 games and wasn't able to put the impact he wanted to. Going to New England and becoming a safety blanket for Drake May at times is huge. That's something you can look at and bring him into a team and have an immediate impact on. Like I said, this is a guy that, like, I'll bring it up again, the Raiders. They really need one more guy there. The Raiders could pick him up. You could see the Giants adding a depth. Him going back to Minnesota. I mean, like I said, with the Raiders, they got Kirk Cousins. He played with Kirk. You know how that can run. How, the Falcons could use one more depth piece to help Tua. The Dolphins could really use another receiver. But I see him going to more of a contender. So Dolphins might not be the answer. But guys like I said, teams that are really contending top that need that next guy. Let's look at the Chiefs. They need another receiver. Worthy is clearly not a 2 or 3. Or clearly not a 2. He might be a 3, but he's not a solid 2. Rashee Rice deals with too much off the field stuff and hasn't played. I mean, I don't think he's played a full season since he's been drafted. That's an issue. I mean, look at the Bills got DJ Moore. Why not bring Diggs back? Why not? DJ Moore and Diggs, that's a killer combo right there. I mean, look at the NFC North, all the talent across the board. The Vikings bringing him back would be great, genius. He liked it in Minnesota. Or even the Packers giving him a call and giving him a shot there. I mean, they've traded away a lot of their receivers. I mean, we've seen Wicks go somewhere else. We've seen Romeo Dobbs go somewhere else. I mean, add another piece like that to your team, really change the impact. Hell, the Eagles, I know they've been signing all these receivers, but they're getting ready to get rid of AJ Brown, and they don't have a receiver that has that possession, uh, that length that Diggs has. Like I wouldn't consider Diggs a big receiver, but he definitely can go up there and get it with like a bigger receiver. The Bucks might take a signing on him. They want to be real contenders. The Panthers add him to their depth. They want to be considered contenders. Why not add another guy? Or, like I said, the Rams again. Rams adding Diggs. They'd have Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, and Puka Nakua. That's a pretty solid receiving core. I mean, I would be a little threatened taking on that as a defense on a consistent basis. Like, there's so many teams that I think feel like they're might be a receiver away, and if he's your number three receiver, then he would be the best number three receiver in the league. So my love for Diggs and what he can bring to the impact of any team is huge. I think once he gets his legal stuff situated, we'll see Diggs go to a really valuable, great team. But there we go. Those are the 10 free agents that I think should be really focused on. We got a lot more going in the NFL. I know I haven't started the NFL 101 talking about it yet. I do want to still bring that up before the off season is over. It's just been with the move and everything, a lot been going on. It's nice in Georgia though. It's been a nice change going from Baltimore to Georgia. It's it is a different way of life. But I've been working a lot more in my actual job. I'm still doing school full time, so it's been a lot going on. But following with football and still has been still never losing sight of it. Probably in the upcoming weeks, I'll talk about potential too early predictions for teams I really like. Talk about possible top quarterbacks, receivers, running backs going into next season. Teams that I think are going to stand out and shock people. Teams that I really like. Like I really like the Giants going into next year. I really like what they can do. I think they drafted well, they signed well in free agency. They've got a great head coach in Harbaugh. That's a team that I think is going to really shock people. That Browns defense is going to look nasty again next year, and they're going to steal some wins. I mean, it's going to be nice to see what they can do. I really like I said, I really like what the Raiders have done. I don't know if they can be a 10-win team, but if they get rattled off 7 wins, you know they're beating someone that they probably shouldn't beat, which is going to really have a testament to what this team is looking forward towards the future. And then the NFC North, I think, is such a big question mark with Kyler Murray with the Vikings. I think this would be the best quarterback. I mean, you could debate him or Kirk, but Kyler's got more dynamic ability that Jefferson has ever had. Are we going to see Jefferson having one of his big breakout seasons like we've been waiting for him to have again? It's because he's been a consistently great receiver, and I still think he's the best in the league, but he has not had the quarterback throwing to him to get him to that level that he should be at. So there's so much going on around in the NFL still. I'm probably going to I might drop a podcast next week depending on what's been going on in free agency and stuff. If not, I might wait another week. I'm gonna come up with some different topics to talk about next week. But I just am glad to be a part of your day. I hope everyone enjoys yourself, and as always, most importantly, thank you.